Urban legends. Whether you believe them or not, they're really fun to think about. The Legend of Zelda has always been hailed for its great world building and storytelling. Most of it is due to the characters that have been sprinkled throughout the whole series. From the charismatic Tingle, all the way to the creepy Kilton, these characters add to the world's ambience that characterize The Legend of Zelda so uniquely. However, many of these characters are not always original creations from the development team. The Legend of Zelda is ripe with, legends. More specifically, urban legends. Given the plethora of characters and the subjective nature of whether some characters are actually based on urban legends, I will be discussing my top 5 favorite characters that may or may not be based on urban legends or myths. The hand in the toilet character most commonly associated with its first appearance in Majora's Mask was never really given an explanation as to why it existed or even where it came from. The mysterious hand would pop out from the toilet in the Stockpot Inn at nights and comically ask for a piece of paper. I remember being freaked out at this strange limb popping up out of nowhere. Albeit comical, the story in which this character is based on is anything but funny. The story of this petrifying hand character is actually a very frightening one. This character is based on a story of a haunted hand that grabs anyone who sits on the toilet and drags them down to hell. This version of the story is only one of a myriad of variations from the urban legend commonly known as Hanako-san. Hanako-san is infamously known as a young girl who haunts bathrooms across Japan. Although her origin story varies from storyteller to storyteller, some of the stories talk about a little schoolgirl who was murdered in a bathroom by either a stranger or an abusive family member. Some stories even depict her as having committed suicide in a bathroom, and some other historical stories talk about a little girl dying as a victim of an air raid during World War II when she was hiding whilst playing a game of hide and seek. It is said that in order to summon Hanako-san, one must go to a girl's bathroom on the 3rd floor of the building, knock 3 times on the 3rd stall, and ask if she is present. When she replies with a haunting yes, a mysterious hand is said to appear from the toilet and drag the person to the bottoms of hell. All these stories depict an origin of what became a frightening urban legend in Japan. A story so well known that it ended up becoming part of the Legend of Zelda.
Yay!
Up high in the snowy peaks of, Snow Peak, there lives a towering and frightening beast. This beast with a rugged tail lives in an abandoned mansion alongside his wife Yetta. Although a weird relationship, the love these two share is enough to make anyone feel all fuzzy and warm inside. However, Yetto, the lovable beast, greatly resembles his infamous and more mysterious cousin, the abominable snowman. The abominable, I can't say it correctly, or more commonly known as the Yeti. The Yeti is a Tibetan legend that even predates Buddhism of the people of the Himalayan region. It is said that some groups of people even worship the glacial being, with ape-like features that carried around a large stone for a weapon. The first recorded suspected appearances of the Yeti date back to the 19th century when more and more Westerners decided to trek the mountains. The same stories of an ape-like bipedal creature that roamed the mountains were told. However, no one ever knew for certain if this creature existed. The Yeti became such a well-known creature that at one point even the US government created 3 rules for Yeti expeditions. These rules included obtaining a Nepalese permit to not harm the Yeti if encountered unless it's self-defense, and to let the Nepalese government approve any news reporting on the creature's discovery. Nowadays, many say that the creature is merely a result of people confusing Asiatic bears and other Himalayan animals for the Yeti. However, legit efforts are still being made to discover this large beast. Sightings of its footprints have been reported as of April 2019. Now, I never said I was going to focus on non-cliche Zelda characters, but the Moon in Majora's Mask just too good of a story to pass up. It isn't too far-fetched of an idea to think that the moon one day will crash directly into Earth. In fact, there's scientific evidence of this occurring. It is said that at one point in the future, the Earth will match the moon's rotation and that this will in fact redirect the moon's path straight into Earth's surface. This is supposed to happen in about... Hold up. Let me do the math real quick. 4 times 2 is 8, yeah. Past the 7 over the 6, yeah, okay. Carry over the 1, yep, okay. This is said to happen in about 65 billion years. So at least there's still hope of a live-action Majora's Mask. However, the moon's existence in Majora's Mask might be more than just based in science. And we all know folklore and myths are way more interesting than science. Don't tell your mom I said that. There are many tales of moons surrounding the moon, anywhere from Aztec gods to rabbits living on the moon, but there was a particular legend that stood out to me, and that was a Maori tale of Rona and the moon. This peculiar story stood out to me because of the similarities with the moon in Majora's Mask. The story of Rona talks about a woman who had recently been arguing with her husband. Don't worry, according to legend, they argued a lot. One night, after arguing about who should fill the water containers, Rona stormed off with a bucket to fill with water. The moon, in an effort to make the story take a turn, decides to rest behind some clouds, causing Rona to have difficulties to see the path clearly. After a myriad of curses, Rona trips on the root of a tree and begins cursing at the moon, blaming it for her clumsiness. The moon, displeased with these insults, asks Rona for an apology. However, Rona only then continues to get more upset. Failing to get an apology from Rona, the moon then decides to reach down and take Rona away. Rona, in a frantic panic, grabs onto a tree trying to fight off the moon from taking her. The tree, unable to sustain the pressure of being pulled, gets ripped off the ground and it is brought alongside Rona to the moon. This story not only resembles the way that Link gets sucked up into the moon, but it also adds a piece to the story that many Majora fans have seemed perplexed by. And I'm talking about the lone tree that is seen inside the moon after Link gets sucked in. This tree could have taken inspiration from the tree that Rona ripped from the ground and brought along with her. It is also said that the tree represented fertility in Rona's story, which could further explain the imagery of the masked children playing around the tree in Majora's Mask. The validity of these stories being connected is slim, but it definitely had some similarities that were too good to not include in this list. In the vast and seemingly never-ending Great Sea of Hyrule lies a haunting secret, one that many sailors seem to know of. I am of course speaking of the Ghost Ship. This ship is surrounded by ghastly lights and only seems to appear at night to haunt certain islands. If the player tries to approach it, it disappears, much like a mirage does. This haunting ship, however, contains a very important piece to advance the Wind Waker's story, the dreaded Triforce Shards. The only way that a player can reach this ship is by obtaining the Ghost Ship chart, whose cartographer mysteriously died after completing it. The haunting ship most likely drew inspiration from the Flying Dutchman. The Flying Dutchman is a legendary ghost ship that sails aimlessly and is doomed to sail the oceans forever. This story of a ghost ship started out way back in the 17th century during the days of the Dutch East India Company. This mega company, more commonly abbreviated as the VOC, traded all kinds of things, everything ranging from spices to tea. The VOC operated mainly Southeast Asia with headquarters in what is modern-day Jakarta and Amsterdam. One of this company's ships was believed to be one of these ghastly ships. The first sighting ever was recorded in one of John MacDonald's diary entries. The script reads, "The weather was so stormy that the sailors said they saw the Flying Dutchman. The common story is that the Dutchman came to the Cape in distress of weather and wanted to get into harbor, but could not get a pilot to conduct her and was lost, and that ever since in very bad weather her vision appears." Subsequent sightings came throughout the centuries as well. Even King George V noticed seeing the Flying Dutchman as a young boy in his many travels aboard the HMS Bacchante, saying that on July 11th at 4 a.m., the Flying Dutchman crossed our bows, a strange red light as if a phantom ship all aglow. This depicts the Flying Dutchman as containing a ghastly aura that many could see from afar. However, upon getting closer, the prince's log says, but on arriving there was no vestige nor any sign whatever of any material ship, the night being clear and the sea calm. This depiction brings to mind the ghost ship from the Wind Waker. If you were to see a circle of bushes neatly tucked away in a corner, you'd assume there's a secret hidden there, and you'd be correct, especially in Legend of Zelda games. The secret that lies there is a golden fox. Keaton is a mysterious creature that was first mentioned in Ocarina of Time. However, it isn't until Majora's Mask that he is actually revealed in person. Link can summon Keaton by disturbing this nice ensemble of bushes with a sword whilst wearing the Keaton mask. Keaton then proceeds to ask Link a series of questions regarding the many tales found throughout Termina, and if he responds correctly to all of them, Keaton gives Link a piece of heart. This creature greatly resembles what is commonly known in Japan as a kitsune. Kitsune, in Japanese folklore, are fox spirits that possess superior intelligence, longevity in age, and magical powers. It was also believed that the more tails a kitsune had, the more wise and powerful they were, much like the tails Keaton had in the game. These kitsune were able to shapeshift into human form. Many of these spirits use these powers to pass on wisdom, to provide protection, or to just be loyal companions to humans. However, foxes were also known to be tricksters in Japanese folklore, so it was common to hear of cases where kitsune would often trick people by shapeshifting. In extreme cases, these spirits would sometimes even possess people. Many people who suffer from mental illness would be said to have been possessed by a fox spirit, and this diagnosis would be vastly accepted all up until the 20th century in Japan. Many similarities between the kitsune and Keaton can be seen, such as the shared spirit of mischief. Makes me wonder how many more characters and stories in the Legend of Zelda franchise are based in urban legends and myths. Whether it be the fearsome, abominable snowman or a golden fox filled with tricks up its sleeve, The Legend of Zelda has borrowed many interesting folkloric stories and urban legends and made them their own. These characters add a layer of reality to the Zelda games through stories and myths that we tell each other in real life. The reason why we tell or invent these stories is to evoke a sense of curiosity, or to explore the unknown, to try and explain the unexplainable, to dream about more fantastical worlds other than our own. But these are only 5 stories in what is a vast world of The Legend of Zelda. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe. I have links to all my social media down below, and all I gotta say is, don't stop believing. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been True Fernie. Please take care of each other, but most importantly, take care of yourself. Peace.